I'm going to go and take you up. I know it's out of order. That is House Bill number 1059. It's number 38 on today's calendar. Number 38 on today's calendar. Okay, everybody find that? It's number 38 on today's calendar, House Bill number 1059. All right, we'll wait just a second. All right, Representative Rogers, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chairman. House Bill 1059 prohibits certain entities and employees from the state from assisting an agency of the armed forces of the United States in the investigation, prosecution, or detention of United States citizens pursuant to Section 1021 of the National Defense Authorization Act for Authorization Act. I want to clarify that this bill is not calling for nullification. It's not calling for fining or arresting federal agents or military personnel. What it does, it commits to our citizens that the state will abide by the 14th Amendment that states that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Currently, right now, the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, specifically Sections 1021 and 22, has been very controversial. It was challenged in court, and Judge Catherine Forrest said that it issued a permanent injunction on administration from using that provision. It was then appealed, and an administration stay was issued, and now the case is going to Supreme Court. There's also controversy within Congress itself. Several amendments have been attempted to remove the threat or the perceived threat against American citizens.
Okay, Representative Rogers, before we proceed, did the chair detect a motion and a second on this bill? Second. Well, you do have a motion and a second on the bill. All right, you may proceed.
Yes, sir. So anyway, this chaos, because of this chaos, I felt the need to bring this bill forward. Just so that we're not confused. We understand the rights of due process of our citizens. And I would like to point out that we have gone down this road before, and actually it is very personal to me. We had in 1942, President Roosevelt had Executive Order 9066, where 117,000 Japanese citizens were put in encampments. I have a constituent in my area who spent his high school days in an encampment, and there was no trial, there were no charges. They were merely suspected for looking like me, basically, in a black and white world. They were jailed because they looked, or encamped because they looked
Representative, why don't we go on and ask for discussion and questions from the committee,
yes, sir.
And you might be able to address some of those as we go through that. And
yes,
Chairman Haynes, did you have a question? No, oh, I'm sorry, okay. Representative Shaw.
Thank you. Sponsor Yield.
Yes.
I guess I'm totally confused here because part of Tennessee I live in, I thought that was the law. I thought that's already the law. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, well, what are you doing?
Yes, sir. There's the act, the appropriations bill for the military, the National Defense Authorization Act that has been passed. And, it's passed every year. But there are two sections that are raising a lot of questions. It's sections 1021 and 1022. And because of the verbiage in those two sections, it leaves the door open for indefinite detention of American citizens without due process, which is why they're having all the chaos, I guess, up at that level on it. And so the point is that is still open for interpretation, and I just want to close that interpretation at state level.
I'm speechless. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, do we have further questions? Representative Button.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And my understanding is, I have studied on this some, and my understanding is we're not the only state addressing this.
Yes, ma'am. There are several states. State of Virginia has already passed a very, almost verbatim, this bill. Maine has asked for a resolution asking that it be clarified that we do not deprive our citizens of due process. Texas is actually trying to push a tougher bill that puts a year in prison and a $10,000 fine against any state personnel that tries to enforce this law. And 20 different states have already, they're in different phases of introducing bills such as this. I mean, I can name Arizona, California, and there's 20 states.
Thank you, but we are not the only state looking at this and addressing
No, ma'am.
it and trying to make sure that our citizens have due process.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Have a question on the bill. All right, objection to the question? All right, so all those in favor of House Bill number 1059 say aye. Those opposed, no. Bill does fail.
Thank you.
We're now down to